just in terms of looking forward to the DNC, biggest difference right now, right, is that in '68, the Mayor Daley, was with the police. In Chicago, the mayor there now, Brandon Johnson, is with the protesters. How worried is the White House, Kamala Harris's team, Democrats at all, that that's going to be the split screen? Video we saw last night and Kamala Harris speaking.
There's no question that there are going to be big protests here, and this is an issue that, as you and I have spoken about before, divides the Democratic Party base in particular down the middle. In fact, the base is now increasingly pro-Palestinian. So I think there are two things. There's the substance of the dispute, but there's also the possibility of scenes of disorder, and wherever one falls on the dispute, scenes of disorder don't tend to help you win elections.
Right. The flip side of this is Kamala Harris made a great point. If you want to keep talking like that, elect Donald Trump. Otherwise, I'm the nominee, I'm speaking, let's move on. Is this really a big enough movement and enough people who are going to stay home and not vote rather than vote for Kamala Harris over Donald Trump?
I think that there can be a genuine sliver of opinion here that does stay home, particularly in crucial states. Michigan is the one that is most often cited. And look, you know, you and I both agree on one part here, which is that the protests hurt the electability. But a lot of those protesters, they're not trying to win elections. They are responding to what they consider a moral issue and one that they want to express their outrage about.
And no question, they are outraged. Whether as you say, we can disagree on the facts of that. There is a problem I see, though, for the Democratic Party that was traditionally got 75%, 80% of the Jewish vote now. You've got Donald Trump holding an event at Bedminster with a large contingent of Jewish donors talking about the anti-Semitism problem in America. Kamala Harris Democrats are handcuffed from even talking about the anti-Semitism problem, least they upset these folks.
Well, I don't know. I think we may be disagreeing there again, because I think President Biden certainly has cited anti-Semitism as a problem. It is true that Harris has tried to be rhetorically more considerate or sensitive of the pro-Palestinian folks, but she has stated that she remains committed to Israel.
She has stated that, but I think rhetorically, and you make a good point, that she's getting closer to the new generation of Democrats than she is to Joe Biden, the old generation of Democrats. Columbia University's president just resigned because of the protests there. Big ruling out of UCLA today that Jewish students cannot be denied access to classes in an attempt to sort of appease the pro-Palestinian types. What is the concern among the White House that they get behind this and lose control of these protests of this issue going into November?
Well, I think there's two things. I think there's just the scenes that are reminiscent of '68. If you have protesters clashing with police,
right,
if you've bigger trouble. But the other point is, you know, we have seen enthusiasm be a problem for Democrats. Here you have a segment of the party, or a segment of the party base, that is having that enthusiasm undermined because they disagree so strongly with policy on Israel. And if you try to ameliorate that problem, another problem pops up, perhaps with more pro-Israel voters in the center ground.
The panacea was going to be a ceasefire before the DNC, right? I'm old enough to remember it was, I think, April, you and I were having this conversation, that Joe Biden said, oh, ceasefire is upon us. They desperately wanted it. It still hasn't gotten there, to try and blunt this coming issue in Chicago. That's not going to happen. We can see that. Is there anything, though, that Kamala Harris can do between now and November to appease, or to promise to appease, these folks?
I don't really think realistically there is. That promise of a ceasefire, you remember President Biden said it would happen by Monday about 20 or 25 Mondays ago, and there's still no sign of it.
He didn't specify which Monday. I don't know.
Maybe he meant a Monday in November. But look, I mean, I think that the problem for Harris is you have a segment of the party that, as I say, is genuinely outraged, would like her to, for example, enact an arms embargo on Israel. I don't think there's any realistic possibility of that happening. Well, they're going to continue being dissatisfied.
Or realistic possibility she's willing to say it before November. Who knows what she does after November. Niall, good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you.
Thank you, as always. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.